my face is again. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see if I can finish rinsing these dishes, and it has about, this thing only holds only 8 gigabytes. So hopefully I'll be able to record all of this and everything that you see there. So I'm gonna sit the camera down here, and I'm going to see exactly how much I can get. Maybe 1 or 2 minutes, more minutes. Okay, I'm just going to see. Wait a minute, let me look around here and see exactly. Is it? Let's see here. Maybe I might have to hold it back. Yeah, I can hold it back a little bit, like that. Now I can continue to just keep uploading, right? All right. You see what I'm doing? It's very important. Now I normally would put a little bleach in here, but I don't have no chlorine in here, because I always put chlorine in my dishes. I always do that. But I ran out and don't have none. Ain't that bad? Because I want to let y'all know out there is that Clorox is the best thing to use to kill germs. Because when you have more than one, when you do that, it keeps you from getting sick. And a lot of people wonder why. Do you know washing your dishes with bleach, even in public, it helps slow down the sickness, and it slows germs down, and it keeps you it bites off of the like when you wash your dishes with chlorine and soap or whatever, you rinse your dishes off. You rinse them off, and as soon as you rinse them off, what it does when you eat out of the dishes, it bites all of this and protects your body from having a bunch of germs and stuff into your body. It affects you and it protects you from getting sick, basically, because you have something to kill the germs, like a sterilizer, you know. So it's good to always have that, you know what I mean? So I'm just basically just seeing how many minutes I can do. But it's always good is to be clean and be as sanitized as you possibly can. This time I didn't have no chlorine to put in that. But as soon as I get some chlorine, I will be putting some chlorine in the dishes. You know what I mean? So I'm just giving you all a little general idea. Hopefully I can upload that to the internet. Hopefully it won't be no problem. I can take and upload it. By the camera being so small, I wish they had a thing on there to where you can turn the speakers up, the volume up, I mean. You know what I mean? On there you can't even turn the volume up. You know? But I'm just showing you all the things that I'm doing and what I do. And it's good to be organized, it's good to be sanitized, it's good to be clean, it's good to be all of those things. Because all those things is essential for your health. That way, if you go by people's house and you eat something, and there's a lot of people in there and they're not sanitized or they're not sterilizing their dishes, do you know it's a chance and a possibility that you can get sick behind that? Oh yeah, you can get sick behind that. So this is the reason why that I upload videos. I'm doing it for safety reasons, is to be able, if I can help somebody out there, I would definitely do that, you know, and I hope that I can help somebody. And as you see, I'm putting the dishes over here in the on the rack. You know what I mean? So hopefully I gave you all a good general idea. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. And I will be back with another time. Now see there, I'm through. Now all of this you see over here, all of this you see right here, these are just rags. They should be folded up. You know what I mean? Because I don't like for nothing just to look slouchy in the house. You know what I mean? As you can see, I'm trying to keep the water and all of that dried up and everything. Now look, you see how clean this is? This is the way it should be at all times. You can see that. See the dishes over here. So I done did 4 minutes. So I need to stop right there. All right.
Well, all right. I tried to upload this stuff to my camera, and I guess I did. And you can see the let's see here. Let me see if I can uphold it right there. You probably can see the zinc I don't know why I'm doing all this. It doesn't even. I think I'm wasting time uploading stuff. I just want to. I'm trying to learn how to do more with this camera, that I have, and I want you all to. Well, there's nothing for me to say right offhand. I don't even know whether to continue to keep on executing this video. I wanted to put something on there, but they have a lot of interesting stuff in here that I would like to say, but I really need to get back into my spirituality, you know what I mean, the Word of God. But I'm not as strong as I want to be in the Word of God. But just to be able to just continue to say that I love the African American men and women, I do. And I want to continue to just upload positive things, and let you all know I love you all very much as African American men and women, because I'm African American, and I believe in coming with a solution. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to read as much as I possibly can right now, and hopefully I don't stumble over these words. Look like it's dealing with Moses and the children of Israel. And I just want to I did about, 5 videos this morning, probably about 5 or 6, I believe. I have to go back and count them, but I know it's over 4, but anyway, this story was relating. We all can relate to the children of Israel. And and P.S. to remind you before I go off into reading this on Ellen G. White. Patriarchs and Prophets, written by Ellen G. White. You can see it. I'll leave it up there long enough. I just want to let you all know I have put that into practice 4 weeks ago when I said I was going to buy things and do things for the African American men and women. I want you all to know I put that into practice. So just to get that out of the way, to let you all know that I'm not just putting information out here and just wasting time, just coming to uploading things to YouTube and saying things, and that's how much I really care about the African Americans. Even though I'm working from the bottom and I'm working my way to the top, we have to lay the foundation, and the African Americans represents the foundation. Not saying that I'm gonna reach out to other race of people, but I just want to make sure that our black men and black women is safe, and that they are taken care of, and that their needs are met, so with that being said, I'm gonna go off into this here. This story is dealing with the children of Israel, the law given to Israel. In other words, if you look throughout the Bible, if you look throughout the book of Numbers, they took journeys. When the cloud came down upon them, and the cloud, they call it a pillar by day and a cloud and a pillar of fire by day and a pillar of fire by night to lead them. And as long as the cloud stayed, they over them, they did not take their journey. But when the cloud was taken away, then they took their journey. They was traveling, and they was on their way to the promised land. And they had to have faith. But in so many different parts of the Bible, you look in Judges how they lost a lot of faith, and how the law that was given to Israel was a token of their pledge that they will follow and that they will obey the Lord and everything that He said. So what I'm gonna do with that little bit being said, I have to come back and give more background later on. I'm gonna go ahead on and I'm gonna read a little bit. I'm gonna read the topic first, and the topic is entitled "The Law Given to Israel," page 27. This is quoted. This is Ellen G. White's writings, but it relates to the Bible. It says, soon after the encampment at Sinai, Moses was called up unto the mountain to meet with God alone. He climbed the steep and rugged path and drew near to the cloud that marked the place of Jehovah's presence. Israel Now listen, it says Israel. You know what Israel means? Israel means overcome. That's what it means. That's why when you read in the Bible, they have strayed away from God so many different times, and God had to go and redeem them back. He had to buy them back from the slaves of the oppressors. And you know, you look at how the Israel was oppressed by their slaves and stuff. It says, and along he climbed the steep and rugged path and drew near to the cloud that marked the place of Jehovah's presence. Israel was now to be taken into a close and peculiar relation to the Most High, to be incorporated as a church and a nation under the government of God. The message to Moses for the people was, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now, therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, he said, if you obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and holy nation. Moses returned to the camp, and having summoned the elders of Israel, he repeated to them the divine message. Their answer was, all that the Lord had spoken we would do. Now that's what I meant when I talked about that law. The law of God, the Ten Commandments, represents their pledge or their allegiance, that they will do everything in that they pledged it. That look, it came out of their mouth that this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this for God. I'm gonna do. You know how we make pledges, and you know what I mean. It said, thus they entered into a solemn covenant with God, pledging themselves. That's what I just said. Pledging themselves to accept him as their ruler, by which they became a special sense the subject of his authorities. Again their leaders ascended the mountains, and the Lord said unto him, Lo, I came unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever when they meet with difficulties in the way. Now see, this is another thing that caught me. When they meet with difficulties in the way, that goes to show you, this is according to the Bible. You look in Exodus 16, Exodus, when God had delivered his people out of Egypt, they was exiting. That's why they call it Exodus, because they was exiting out of Egypt. It means Exodus means exit. That means you know, like people when they, you know how when people see the exit sign, the exit means is to go out. That's what it means. So Exodus was a word that was used that they was going out of slavery. They was being redeemed from the house of from under the hands of the oppressors. And you know, we're living in a world like that today, to where it's sad to say that we're living under the spirit of the oppressors, and we need to continue to free ourselves from that. In other words, Egypt represents being, if your mind is negative, if my mind is negative, that's a form of spiritual Egypt. We're captured mentally, emotionally, and otherwise. You know what I mean? Because whatever affects the mind, it's going to affect the spirituality of a person, and we have to learn how to do that. You know what I mean? It says again, their ladder ascended the mountain, and the Lord said unto them, Lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, and the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. When they meet with difficulties in the way, they were disposed to murmur against Moses, Aaron, and accuse them of the leading of the hosts of Israel from Egypt to destroy them. The Lord would honor Moses before them, that they might be led to confidence in his instructions. Okay, it says God purposed to make the occasion of speaking his law a sense of awful grandeur, and keeping with its exalted character, and the people were to be impressed that everything connected with the service of God must be regarded with the great reverence. Okay, I'm going to read that again. God's purpose to make the occasion of speaking His law a sense of awful grandeur and keeping with its exalted and character. The people were to be impressed that everything connected with the service of God must be regarded with great reverence. So, I'm going to go ahead on and I'm going to continue to keep reading. It says, the Lord said to Moses, go in unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow. Let them wash their clothes and be ready again the third day. For the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all of the people unto Mount Sinai. He will come. So they had to be ready. During the interviewing days, all were to occupy the time in solemn preparation to appear before God. Preparation means you are preparing. You know, they had to prepare. Their person and their clothes must be free from impurity. And as Moses should point out their sins, they were to devote themselves to humiliation and fasting and prayer, that their hearts might be cleansed from iniquity. You know what I'm saying? So it said the preparation was made according to the command and obedience to a further injunction. Moses directed that a barrier be placed about the mountain, that neither man nor beast might intrude upon the sacred parts. If any venture so much as to touch it, the penalty was instant death. That means that the children of Israel, they was afraid to even come near God, and they was afraid. They could have came, but they was afraid. So that's why they set booths around about the camps. You know what I mean? Because that is a form and a sign that when you're afraid, it's like what it does. Fear and faith and power is the opposite. It is the opposite. Fear is the opposite of power. You know, of love. You know what I'm saying? That's why the Bible said there is no fear in love. He that fears is not made perfect in love. And he also said that because fear has tormented him. That means fear will torment us. You know what I mean? And that's what he means when he says, because he that fears is not made perfect in love. And that's why, and it went on to say, perfect love casts out all fear. You know what I mean? Perfect love. So when you love somebody, you're not going to fear them. You know what I mean? You're not going to be scared of them or anything like that. Now the word fear is mentioned so many different times in the Bible. I believe fear is mentioned over 100 times in the Bible. You know, another definition of fear means to respect. You know, but being afraid of something, that is of the devil. So that is not the love of God. So the when you also you can look at it from this point of view. When you fear somebody, all the time when you fear somebody, that fear doesn't mean that you're afraid of people. Fear can be used in terms of meaning that you totally respect the individual person. You have a lot of love and respect for that person. That's what it means to fear somebody. You can fear a person. Fear means to respect. You know what I mean? In that text is compared with Romans chapter I think it's Romans chapter 13, and you read the whole chapter, Romans chapter 13, where it says, love worketh no ill to his neighbor, therefore love is the fulfilling of the law, and all of those things. The Bible, and it goes on to say that if you love somebody, you will not steal from them, You would not kill. You would not kill them. You would not do none of those things. You would not covet anything that belongs to your neighbor. Meaning that you love. Fear means that's the fear of God in you that will cause you is to respect that person. You know what I mean? That's all it is. You know what I mean? It said the preparation was made according to the command and obedience to a further injunction. Moses directed that a barrier be placed round about the mountain, that neither man nor beast might intrigue upon the sacred pinch or parched. If any ventured so much as to touch it, the penalty was instant death. That means you have to immediately die if you touch anything sacred. On the morning of the third day, as the eyes of all of the people were turned toward the mountain, its summit was covered with a thick cloud, which grew more black and dense, sweeping downward until the entire mountain was wrapped in darkness and awful mystery. Then a sound as of a trumpet was heard, summoning the people to meet with God, and Moses led them forth to the base of the mountain. From the thick darkness, flashing and vivid lightnings, white peals of thunder echoed and re-echoed among the surrounding heights, and Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire. Now the word fire is used in the Bible is a representation of the presence of God. That's what the fire represents. And in the smoke there ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked greatly. The glory of the Lord was like a devouring fire on the top of the mountain, and the sight of the assembly multitudes, and the voice of the trumpet sounded loud and waxed louder and louder. So terrible were the tokens of Jehovah's presence that the hosts of Israel shook with fear, upon their face before the Lord. Even Moses exclaimed, I exceedingly feared and quick. Hebrews chapter 12 verses 21. So what I'm gonna do is that, well, I guess I'm gonna try to see if I can upload many more minutes, and I'm gonna see. It says, and now the thunders ceased, the trumpet was no longer heard, the earth was still. There was a period of solemn silence. Silence means quiet. Something, you think of quietness, no noise, no nothing. It's just everything just you can't hear nothing. Everything is just not noisy. It's quiet. Then the voice of God was heard, speaking out of the thick darkness, and enshrouded him as he stood upon the mountain, surrounded by a retaining of angels. The Lord made known his law. Moses described this scene, says, the Lord came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Perea, and he came with 10,000s of saints from his right hand with a fiery law for them. Yea, he loved the people. All his saints are in thy hand, and they sat down at thy feet. Every one shall receive of thy words. Deuteronomy 33 verses 2 and 3. It says, Jehovah revealed himself not alone in the awful majesty of the judge and lawgiver, but as the compassionate guardian of his people. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. He whom they had already known as their guide and deliverer, who had brought them forth from Egypt, making a way for them through the sea, and overthrew Pharaoh and his host, who had thus showed himself to be above all the gods of Egypt. It was who now speaks his law. You notice I read kind of slow because I want to make sure that I don't misquote words, and that's why I probably takes my time and just go through them, and I probably be hitting here and yonder, like, you know what I mean. It said the law was not spoken at this time exceedingly for the benefits of the Hebrews. The Hebrews are the Israelites. God honored them by making them the guardians and keepers of his law. I talked about something resemblance to that, because that law is a symbol of their pledge, and that was the Ten Commandments. But I will get more into that as we move forward because I put a lot of pretty good many religious videos out there. But it was to be held as a sacred trust for the whole world. The precepts of the Decalogue. Now when you hear that word Decalogue, that's talking about the Ten Commandments, and are adopted to all mankind, and they were given for the inheritance. They was given, excuse me, I misquoted that. I'm going to read that again. The principles of the Decalogue, now that's the Ten Commandments, which are what I just said earlier, are adapted to all mankind. They were given for the inheritance of the government of all. In other words, adopted. That means that adapted to all mankind. Okay. 10 precepts, belief, comprehensive and authoritative, cover the duty of man to God and to his fellow man, and all bases upon the great fundamental principles of love. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. Luke chapter 10 verse 27. And see also Deuteronomy 6 verses 4 through 5. Leviticus 19 verse 18. Okay, now it's talking. Remember I told you about the Decalogue, the Ten Commandments. It says in the Ten Commandments, these principles are carried out in detail and made applicable to the conditions and circumstances of men. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Jehovah, the eternal, self-existent, uncreated one, himself, the source and sustainer of all is alone entitled to supreme reverence and worship. Man is forbidden to give to any other object the first place in his efforts or his service, whatever we cherish, that tends to lessen our love for God, or to interfere with the service due to him, of that we do make a God. Now I'm going to read that again. It says, Jehovah, the eternal, self-existent, uncreated one, himself, the source and sustainer of all is alone entitled to supreme reverence and worship. Man is forbidden to give to any other object the first place in his efforts or his service, whatever we cherish, that tends to lessen our love for God. Whatever we cherish, I had to read that again. Whatever we cherish that tends to lessen our love for God, or to interfere with the service due to him, of that do we make a God. Of that we do make a God. In other words, anything that we seek to cherish more than we cherish God, we do make that becomes your God. That becomes my God. It does. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images, or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. He said, don't bow down to them, don't serve them, and don't worship them. It says, the second commandment forbids the worship of the true God by images of similitudes. Many heathen nations claim that their images were mere figures of symbols by which the deity was worshipped. But God has declared such worship to be sin. The attempt to represent the Eternal One by material objects would lower man's conceptions of God. The mind turned away from the infinite perfection of Jehovah would be attracted to the creatures rather than to the Creator. The mind turned away from the infinite perfection of Jehovah would be attracted to the creatures rather than to the Creator. And as his conceptions of God was lower, so would man become discarded. I am the Lord thy God. I am a jealous God. The close and sacred relation of God to his people. It is represented under the figure of marriage, adultery, being spiritual adultery, the displeasures of God against it is filthy called jealousy, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generations of them that hate me. It is invisible that children should suffer from the consequences of parental wrongdoing, but they are not punished for the parents' guilt except as they participate in their sins. It is usually the case, however, that children walk in the steps of their parents by inheritance and exempt the sons become partakers of the father's sins. Wrong tendencies pervert appetites and debases the morals, as well as physical disease and degeneracy as transmitted as a legacy from father to son to the third and fourth generation. This fearful truth should have a solemn power to retain or restrain man from following a course of sin. Now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to reiterate what I just read to make sure that you all got a clear understanding of it. But what I should have done, I should have took and just went over this first before I read it. So I hope that you got a clear understanding, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to reiterate what I just read. I apologize for not doing that earlier. Now, just while we are listening to this here, let us just meditate and think about just being, if we were just right there, and just visualize yourself just having that personal relationship with him. Well, I do the same thing. Alright? It says, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. Now, we need to understand that God was talking about, he was punishing the children of the forefathers. In other words, that the sin nature that we have, we inherited that bad habit. That's why it's so important. I didn't mean to jump off the subject, but this is a good topic. That's why it's so important to be careful. That's why, I guess that's why God tells us not to, don't choose anyone for a mate. don't choose anyone to marry, because the person that you marry, their seed that they have, and they see, and you allow them is to put their seed in you, then that seed can affect the child. So that's why he said it's not good to intermingle with a certain type of people, because if you mingle with a certain type of people, then some of those things are going to rub off on us. They will rub off on us. And that's why we have to really be careful with what we allow go into us, because when we think when we think that we are not affecting other people, guess what? We are affecting other people. It says, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and the fourth generation of them that hate me. It is invisible that children should suffer from the consequences of the parental wrongdoing. That means from parents. But they are not punished for the parents' guilt, except as they participate in their sin. It is usually the case, however, that children walk in the steps of their parents by inheritance and example. The sons become partakers of the father's sins. Wrong tendencies pervert appetite and debase the morals, as well as physical disease and degeneracy are transmitted as a legacy from father to son to the third and fourth generation. This fearful truth should have a solemn power to restrain man from following a course of sin. That means that's why it's so important to be careful who you mingle with, because the people that you mingle with becomes who you are. You are what you eat. You are who you hang with. Whoever you hang with, that is what you will be, because the environment, the influences of your environment has the power to mold and shape you. You are molded and shaped by your environment. That is the way that I would put it. That's why the Bible says, by beholding we'll become changed. So we have to be careful what we allow go into us. You know what I mean? We do. We have to be very mindful, and we have to be very mindful and careful of what we allow go into our spirits, because what we allow go into us, we may not think that it's affecting us. Because I heard a lot of people say, well, I hear music. It doesn't bother me. As long as I know I'm saved, I know it ain't gonna bother me. And the very moment, even though you don't even when you think something is not affecting you, guess what? And when it's not affecting me, it does. So I'm not gonna stand up there and tell that story or lie about it and say that things does not. You know, if we don't have a closer connection with God, if we're not connected to God like we should at all, it would be impossible we would not be able to stand up against the wiles of nothing out there. It is impossible to be unselfish without Christ in your life. It is impossible. There is no when you are selfish, Christ is not in you. But when you are not selfish versus love, then it's impossible for you to be unselfish. You know? Showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments, in prohibiting the worship of false gods. The second commandment by implicit enjoins the worship of the true God. And to those who are faithful in his service, mercy is promised, not merely to the third and fourth generation, as is the wrath threatening against those who hate him, but to thousands of generations. Thousands of generations. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless. That means he will not hold you. You won't deserve to have the path of being perfect. He's not going to give you something that you have not been living. He's not going to give you credit for something that you have not been living up to. I mean, he will not hold you perfect. He will not hold, guiltless means blameless or perfect. The Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. This commandment not only prohibits false oaths and common swearing, but it forbids us to use the name of God in a light or careless manner, without regard to its awful significance, by thoughtless mention of God in conversation, by appeals to him and travailing matters, and by frequent and thoughtless repetition of his name. We dishonor him. Holy and reverence is his name. Holy and reverence is his name, according to Psalms chapter 111 verse 9. All should meditate upon his majesty, his purity and holiness. His holiness, that the heart may be impressed with a sense of his exalted character, and his holy name should be uttered with reverence and solemnity. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days should thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Hallowed it means is to keep holy, or to make holy. The Sabbath is not introduced as a new institution. Now listen to that. The Sabbath is not introduced as a new institution, but as having been founded at creation. It has been founded at creation. It is to be remembered. It is to be remembered and observed as the memorial of the Creator's work, pointing to God as the maker of the heavens and the earth. It distinguishes the true God from all false gods. All who keep the seventh day signify by this act that they are worshiping of Jehovah. Thus, the Sabbath is a sign of man's allegiance to God. Allegiance. Respect. As long as there are any upon the earth to serve him. The fourth commandment is the only one of all the 10 commandments which are found both the name and the title of the lawgiver. It is the only one that shows by whose authorities the law is given. Thus it contains the seal of God affixed to his law as evidence of its authenticity and binding forces. God has given man 6 days wherein to labor, and he requires that their own work be done in six working days. The acts of necessary and mercy are, let me read that again. God has given man 6 days wherein to labor, and he requires that their own work be done in 6 working days. Acts of necessary and mercy are permitted on the Sabbath. Sick and suffering are all sick. The sick and suffering are at all times to be cared for, but unnecessary labor is to be strictly avoided. I'm sorry, y'all. I got to read that over again because I want to make sure that the audience get this. God has given man 6 days wherein to labor, and he requires that their own work be done in the 6 working days. Acts of necessity and mercy are permitted on the Sabbath. The sick and suffering are at all times to be cared for, but unnecessary labor is to be strictly avoided. Turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasures on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord, honorable, and honor him, not doing thy own ways, nor finding thy own pleasures. Isaiah 58 verses 13. Nor cease the prohibited, and hear, nor speaking thy own words, says the prophet. Those who discuss business matters or lay plans on the Sabbath are regarded by God as though engaging in the actual transactions of business. To keep the Sabbath holy, we should not even allow our minds to dwell upon things of a worldly character. And the commandments includes all within our gates. The inmates of the house are to lay aside their worldly business during the sacred hours. All should unite to honor God by serving upon his holy day. You know what? I got to go back and read that part again. It says, God has given man 6 days wherein to labor, and he requires that their own work be done in 6 working days. Acts of necessity and mercy are permitted on the Sabbath. The sick and suffering are at all times to be cared for, but unnecessarily labor is to be strictly avoided. Turning away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasures on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord, honorable, and honor him, not doing thy own ways, nor finding thy own pleasures. Isaiah 58:13. Nor the prohibitions, and hear, nor speaking thy own words, says the prophet. Those who discuss business matters or lay plans on the Sabbath are regarded by God as through engaging the actual transactions of business. To keep the Sabbath holy, we should not even allow our minds to dwell upon things of a worldly character. And the commandments includes all within our gates. The immense of the hours of the house are to lay aside the worldly business during the sacred hours. I'm going to stop it right there. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. I will be back with more live episodes, so stay tuned. Alright, I love you all very much. Thank you.